But lo and behold, we've got more. We've got one more TV show to talk about. And it's a Netflix TV show. And again, Netflix has just been rocking with all of their TV shows. Now, you may have heard it in the news. You may have seen it on your Netflix pile. You may have heard your friends talking about it, or a stranger on the subway, bus, or taxi talk about it. And that is the documentary television show event that has swept the nation. And that is, of course, Making a Murderer. That barely fits on my banner. Making a Murderer is a 10 episode part series documentary going over... Yeah, I'm interested to see... before we get into it, Eric just said that he's excited about AMC. Had the balls to pick up Preacher. Now, I agree with you. However, I uneducatedly agree with you, Eric. Only to the sense of the fact that I don't read a lot of comics. I look like a kid who reads a lot of comics, but I don't. But I know Preacher is one of those... It's like Constantine or something like that. It's one of those like darker type comics, and there's probably like a lot of ballsy stuff in there. And AMC, I mean, they're doing really well with like The Walking Dead and stuff like that, with really dark stuff. So I think they'll do it justice to Preacher. Plus, I think Seth Rogen came out and said that it doesn't really follow the comics that much, but I think it'll do it just as much justice. AMC, I would trust more with a comic book thing than I would like NBC. Yeah. See, I would assume it's very edgy. However, I trust AMC. Get me a badge or a pin or something like that that says I trust AMC, because they've been able to do The Walking Dead justice. The only other people I would think would just be Showtime. Or HBO, but I mean, if HBO doesn't want to, if they were scared, as you said, scared from the undertones and the content, they either probably changed it around. So, yeah. But I'm excited to see Preacher. I know. Rip Constantine. Constantine, NBC tried and they failed. I think if Constantine went to AMC or HBO or Showtime or even Netflix, it would have been great for some reason. But NBC just, I don't know what they were doing. But anyway, back to Making a Murderer. Now, when I first saw this documentary pop up on my Netflix, I sat there and said, ooh, another serial killer documentary. There's plenty of them out there, including the ones of those that were mentioned in American Horror Story. See, I'm already referencing it. Look at that. Season's done and I'm already referencing it. But anyway, John William Gacy, Richard Ramirez, Jeffrey Dahmer, Iceman, Son of Sam, all of them. They have these documentaries that are multiple parts, National Geographic, History Channel, whatever you want to call it, but they all have these documentaries where they told they kind of went to the backstory of their lives and how their upbringing or how maybe their social lives or something like that made them to become the serial killers in. And Jessica Jones is great. I love Jessica Jones. I'm almost done with it. I'm like 2 episodes away, I think. They're able to make these documentaries, and you kind of get a sense of where these guys snapped and became the men that we all know and hate. Or, if you're me, know and love. Now, when I saw Making a Murderer, I thought this was another serial killer type thing, because there have been, in the news past couple of years, some findings and such of that nature. There's that would that have come up in some crimes and cold cases and whatnot that have come up in the past couple of years that cops are trying to figure out. So maybe I was thinking that this is one of them, and we're going to see that same thing, the upbringing of a man or woman. I thought it was a man because there was a man on the cover of the Netflix series, and how he became such a horrible person that he was killing whoever he had killed. Turns out I was completely wrong. This is not that documentary. This documentary focuses on one man. I got that right. And two different court cases in the same town, two different cases, two different crimes, two different victims, one man being charged for it, being wrongfully charged for it, and now serving a lifetime in jail after it's serving 18 years in jail for a crime that he ultimately did not commit. So, this is the life of Stephen Avery, because this man has spent more time in a prison cell or in a courtroom than he has living a free man. And this documentary takes you through. Hey, Quinster, how you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. We're talking Making a Murderer. And if you have any theories about Stephen Avery and Making a Murderer, this is the time that we're going to discuss it, because we're going to get in on it. Now, I am not a lawyer. I am not a judge. I am not anywhere in the forensic world. In fact, I work for probably the worst industry that anyone could be working for in this day and age, and that is the media. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say who I work for. But that's who I work for, and those people are the enemy in this documentary. Stephen Avery is, from the way they described it, just like any old other blue-collar person from Midwest, I think it was Wisconsin. Wisconsin? Yeah, Wisconsin. This was a man whose family was considered the black sheep of their community, and he was considered the black sheep of their family. Not really by much, but to be the black sheep of black sheep, it doesn't really say much. However, he was kind of the white sheep and the black sheep in the white sheep family. Not to say that he was sought in the town as different from his family. The town did not like him as much as they didn't like his family. So already, Stephen Avery and his family are given a bad rap, because the community they grew up in is a farming community. The Avery family owned a junkyard. So you kind of get where this is going, where the community will always kind of not point their fingers at the Avery family. However, they'll always have their eye on them because they're different. So for any of you out there who are considered different, this is what this is what these people are dealing with. Now, Stephen Avery, unfortunately, happened to piss off the wrong people. And those wrong people happened to be married to or related to the right people, which is still the wrong people for Stephen Avery, because the right people for them happen to be the cops and sheriffs of this township and county. So one day, a woman, I forgot what her name was going out for a jog, and she was attacked. And ultimately, everybody pointed their fingers at this Stephen Avery. Why? Because he was already on people's radars for another indecent exposure crime. So everyone already put him on their radars. They locked him up, gave him a trial, Trial went quickly. Boom. Doors locked, keys thrown away, 18 years in jail. Now, during these 18 years, the man who actually committed the crime and beat up the woman who was the jogger was living freely and still committing crimes of the same nature that was committed back in 1980-something that Stephen Avery was convicted of. However, this other guy was still committing those same crimes as Stephen Avery was in jail. Now, Stephen Avery, we didn't really know much about his jail time. The documentary didn't really say that. They said that he had a couple jobs. He was fixing cars in one prison. He was doing this. He was doing that. But really didn't say, like, did he get in trouble? Did he kill anyone? Did someone try to stab him? Like, you know, things that can turn someone in prison. Because there are a lot of people that go to prison and then all of a sudden the things that they see in prison or things that they encounter in prison, whether they see it or they're part of it, however, they come out a different person. And that's men or women. I mean, we see it in TV series like Prison Break, like Orange is the New Black. Even though Orange is the New Black is supposed to be a dramedy, you know, you still see the characters changing because prison is changing them. And I'm not saying it's all for the bad, but I'm saying it's all for a change. It's just a change. So you would think that maybe Stephen Avery, in his time in jail, you know, we never, the documentary never really went into, sorry, needed water that time. Never really went into how his time was in jail, other than the fact that he worked and mostly kept to himself, which probably told a lot more than what I was catching on. So after 18 years of jail, some new blood evidence comes out, and you find out Stephen Avery was actually never there, and the blood goes to this other guy. Now, within the 18 years, I think 10 years into it, the police in the county that arrested Stephen Avery had gotten a tip that this other criminal had committed a similar crime in a different county, and that different county contacted the county that he was from, contacted this original county and said, listen, we think you have the wrong guy in jail because we have this other guy in our jail, in our prison right now, who committed a crime that's very similar to what happened in your prison in your town 10 years ago. And I think it was the Wachowita, I think it was, county, which is where Stephen Avery is from, was like, nah, we got Stephen Avery. We're good. And they kind of brushed it under the rug. 8 years later, this blood evidence comes out. So now the cops have nothing because the blood evidence trumps whatever they had, which was a prayer. And a woman whose eye was beaten so bad that it was closed, pointing someone out in the line. However, the line that they had and the drawing that she gave, the guy who drew the picture apparently saw like a picture of Steve Avery and then drew that, like copied that picture, drew that, and showed it to the woman. The woman said, yes, that's him. Yet the other guy looked a lot like him. So there's a lot of controversy around this first arrest that got him in jail for 18 years. He's released, and then, I don't know the time frame too well. But 16, it wasn't that long. It was maybe 6 months to a year. And now, a woman has gone missing. And everybody points their fingers at Stephen Avery. Why? Because he's the guy that went to jail for 18 years for beating up the other woman. And now that the woman that he originally allegedly beat up is in his corner and is helping him out in this wrongfully accused program that he started for the state of Wisconsin. The governor is helping him out in this wrongfully accused group. And he's suing the police department that arrested him originally. And they all had to go for a deposition. Even federal, there was a federal investigation on it. There was a lot of controversy around this. As soon as he came out, he sat there and said, listen, I don't trust the cops because they wrongfully arrested me. They let me sit in prison for 18 years while they were sitting on the fact that this woman was attacked by someone else who was a known criminal. It wasn't like it was just some random beggar who had come through town. It was a known criminal. And they never even investigated the other criminal. And even that one time when another county told them to investigate this criminal, they said, no, we've got the guy. So he decides to sue him. Is that a smart move? Yes. However, he pisses off, again, the wrong people who happen to be the right people. And now this photographer, this woman who's a freelance photographer for Auto Trader, goes out to this township. And she has 3 visits that day. And one of those visits is the Avery estate. Who is she visiting? Steve Avery. He's got a van that he wants her to photograph for Auto Trader. He's trying to sell a van. And yeah, he was a convicted killer, convicted assaulter. He's been in jail for 18 years, but he's out. And it turns out he was wrongfully accused. However, there's still that bad taste in your mouth. You know, some people don't like to have onions on their bagel or something like that, yet an onion sneaks into it or an onion sneaks into your salad, you bite down and you eat that onion, you get a bad taste in your mouth. And now you're just like, ugh, I'm never going to go back there because they put onion in my salad or on my bagel. That goes to you, bagel place. Goes to you. So now, this woman disappears, and 3 days later, her car miraculously shows up on Steve Avery's property, on the Avery's property, because Steve still lives. The Avery property is a 40-acre property. It's a junkyard. His parents live in a house. Steve lives in a trailer. His sister and, I'm going to say lovers, because, dear Lord, because, dear God, this woman had so many boyfriends and husbands and stuff. I couldn't even keep track of Steve Avery's sister's lovers. But anyway, Steve Avery, the car was found on the 40-acre lot in the back corner where nobody would be looking. In fact, it's so far back, you can use another road to get there. So in order for Steve to have killed this woman and driven this car to that area, he would have had to go on the road during the time that police were looking for this car, go on a public road to get there. Now, I don't know about you, and again, I'm not a detective. I have no ties to law enforcement or anything like that. But doesn't that seem a little fishy that a man who has a 70 IQ murders someone, takes their car, murders someone, hides the body wherever they hide the body, and moves the car while people are looking for the car on a public road? That just seems highly impossible, even for a man who has 70 IQ. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't add up. So now, the police, oh wow, thank you, Toma. Thank you, Toma Manson. I guess I look like you. This is what you look like. This is the mirror. Are you trying to touch the camera now? Try to touch the camera. It'll be awesome. So now the police have the car. Now they have justifiable means to go on to the Avery estate, the Avery 40-acre estate, and look for this woman's body. And they find bone fragments that are no bigger than a quarter in a dirt pile that is how they describe 4 by 5 feet, which is pitiful. It is absolutely pitiful. It is very small. It is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, they arrest Steve. They have enough evidence. They open up the car. There's blood stains on the car. They do the blood evidence, and it's Steve Avery's blood in the car. That's it. Cuff him. Bring him to jail. Something else comes to light. They bring into question, some months later, they bring into question Steve Avery's nephew, Brandon. Now, Steve Avery, in the show, they said he had a 70 IQ. Brandon is not doing much better in that department. He's on a first grade reading level. He's in high school. Hey, Tuxquin. How you doing? Welcome. Welcome. We're talking Making a Murderer. Not how to make a murderer, but making a murderer. We're talking about it. So they bring Brandon in. Now, Brandon is not a bright kid, and the police are basically baiting him for his statement. They keep telling him, what did you do? What happened here? Did this happen? Did that happen? Now, Brandon, we find out, plays a lot of video games. I play a lot of video games. But Brandon, his mind is being tortured so much by trained professionals, by 2 officers of the law who know how to talk to criminals, who know how to get what they want out of kids and out of scared people. And they basically write the statement for this kid. They say, what did you do next? No. You didn't do that next. Didn't you do this? What did you do here? No. I feel bad for this kid. Here's a kid who doesn't get much from life, but at the same time gets everything from life. He is a simple kid, and he's a simple kid, and he's a kid who just wants to be left alone, but these guys won't leave him alone. So now he implicates himself as now an accessory to helping Steve Avery do all these malicious things to this woman. Now Brandon is kind of tied to everything. I feel bad. I, as a viewer, feel bad, and I think everybody else feels bad. Here you have a simple kid, just wants to go home, play video games, try to get through his high school career, get his GED, continue working on his father's, on his grandfather or on his grandfather's junkyard, or maybe work in the farm, find another blue-collar job or something like that, and just get on with his life. That's all he wants to do. That's all he wants to do. But now he's implicated himself as an accessory to the murder and a lot of other things. Torture. I did. Got them all at a sale. Half off. They're all broken, so... Now, right. Now, the TV show really gets into the court cases, so much so that you actually feel that you're supposed to feel like you're in the court with them. And you're supposed to sit there and say that this prosecutor, this DA, this Ken something, Pritcher, whatever his name is a skeevy piece of junk. And guess what? He is a skeevy piece of junk. Because we find out later that he's really a skeevy piece of junk. So, actually, it's whiskey. It's whiskey. Good old Tennessee whiskey. So, the DA is out for blood. He's out for Avery's blood, and ultimately he's out for Brendan's blood. Stephen Avery pretty much does not trust the law. So every law enforcement officer, the judge, every person that they get in that courtroom. Toma Manson, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. Thank you for following. Everybody, welcome, Toma Manson. Tongue Squint. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for... Wow, 2 follows. Thank you so much. Thank you. The road to 50 followers is real. The road to 50 followers is real. Thank you so much. I know I'm starting small, but we're getting there. Steve Avery is sitting in this courtroom, and he's being fed lie after lie after lie. And the judge is being fed lie after lie after lie. And thank you so much, Osmation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome to the stream, the 3 of you. Thank you so much. You guys chat it up in the chat. I'll answer any questions that you have. This is not spiced rum. It's good old Tennessee whiskey. Thank you so much for the follows. I love you guys. I love you. Steve Avery, after his first court case not really going too well with the court-appointed attorney, decides to hire his own attorneys, but doesn't really have and he uses the money that he won from suing the police department to hire these two new attorneys. And these attorneys, everything's going for them. They find a piece of evidence that will just knock the prosecution off the case. Will knock them off their senses, everything. Prosecution has a couple dirty tricks up their sleeves as well. Mainly the trick of bringing in Brendan's older brother, Bobby, who's just a liar. And in listening to his testimony of saying that he saw this girl, Teresa, walking into Steve Avery's apartment, and that was the last time he saw her. Bobby was fed that line. Again, Bobby and Brendan, not the brightest bulb not the brightest bulbs in the room. However, the police, the people that they are dealing with, the police are conniving. In this sense, not in every sense. So Steve Avery has the best lawyers, whereas Brendan is given a public defender. No, I have all the volumes turned off. So anyway, the public defender that Brendan is first given is only out for his own fame. He's taking a high-profile case. He wants to get out of... he wants to just get out in front of the press as soon as he possibly can. He doesn't care about his client. He just wants to smile and say everything's going to be okay. He brings in his own investigator to grill Brendan, and Brendan gets the same results. And he gets the same results as the other guys. Now, the whole time they're saying, we're going to call your mom, we're going to do this, we're going to make sure your mom's in the loop. His mom is never in the loop until Brendan calls her. Now, a lot of people thought that Brendan's mom was a little harsh to Brendan, but I mean, that's probably the only way that an adult can get through to Brendan. That's not playing a video game with him or not telling him to do something. They really have to hit it home with him. That's how impaired he actually is. So Brendan's being like swindled by all sorts of people, and he doesn't really realize it. And in there, he probably told the truth to his mom plenty of times on the phone. But this court-appointed attorney for his defense throws it out, doesn't even listen to his phone calls, doesn't even listen to him. And he gets thrown off the case because Brendan doesn't feel comfortable with him. Brendan still has the know to know that the gentleman sitting to his left or right does not make him feel comfortable. And that's what's great. Now back to Steve Avery's trial. The defense is rocking the trial. Just awesome, doing an awesome job. Asking the hard questions. Any questions that may seem unfair for the prosecution, they try to object. Objections are thrown out left and right. Some of them are brought in, but a lot of them are thrown out because the prosecution is getting scared. And Bobby was really the only surprise that the prosecution had until the drug test. Steve Avery's team of attorneys found that when they started investigating the old case that led him in jail 18 years prior, for 18 years, they decided to go into the case file to see how deep does this case against the police go. And when they go to the police department to find the case file, all they have is a styrofoam thing about maybe this big. That's it. It's a styrofoam thing about this big and about, I don't know, like that long or something like that. Open it up. They find that it's been open and that there's scotch tape over it, which, I mean, come on, the cameras for the attorneys are not HD just yet. It's weird. So they open it up and it's a blood vial. And guess whose blood is in the vial? Steve Avery's. So now the defense has it definitively, near definitive. I'm saying mostly definitive. Has it that the police department that had first wrongfully put Steve Avery in jail had planted blood evidence in the truck that implicated Steve Avery had anything to do with Teresa's disappearance and ultimate demise. So the prosecution says, fine, we'll get it tested from the FBI. But the tests that they have to do, now this is early 2000s. So CSI had just come out and all that kind of stuff. So we do know that the technology is there. However, the technology is not as good as maybe the technology is today in 2016. But it's still better than it was in the 80s. So they send it off to the FBI. The FBI said it will take 3 to 4 months. Well, the trial started in about 2 to 3 weeks after the blood was sent out. Guess what? They got it back in 3 to 4 weeks, not months, weeks. So someone must have either A, rushed the FBI to getting it done on the prosecution side, or B, faked the tests. Either way, something smells fishy. So that blood evidence is now pretty much irrelevant. I mean, you can tell that there's collusion all over the prosecution. You could tell that this prosecution is so dirty, even Pigpen from Peanuts would not go near it. A dog would smell it and run the other way. That is how dirty this prosecution is. And I have to say, and I mean everybody knew that Steve Avery was, in fact, completely and utterly innocent. I mean, here's a man who had a bad rap. He was in jail for 18 years. And he's sitting in this courtroom, and he's quiet. There's no outbursts. There's no nothing. I mean, right now, one of the cases that come by on my tickers and all that stuff is the Planned Parenthood killer over in the northwest of the United States. And unfortunately, that Planned Parent killer, he was a little crazy. He was yelling out in court, "I did it for the babies." Well, Steve Avery was the exact opposite. He was quiet. Judge asked him a question, he answered the question. Now, the only thing I could think of that really put Steve Avery in harm's way was the fact that A, he decided to have the court in his home county where everybody was against him, including the judge. And B, he just again pissed off the wrong people, but also the right people, however you look at it. So now, Steve Avery has been convicted for life, for killing her, and I think for disposing of the body. The other stuff of torture and all that kind of stuff was thrown out because ultimately Brendan's statements and testimonies were all thrown out against Steve Avery. So now he's in jail for life. I think without the possibility of parole. So this man is now sitting in a jail rotting for someone else's transgressions and someone else's wrongdoings. Brandon, the stupid SOB, is also sitting in jail. Since he was 16 years old, they were able to bump him up to, I believe, an adult. And, sorry, my apartment is not necessarily level, so I go away. And again, he put himself in that. He put himself in that situation. And now these two gentlemen are sitting in jail. And this documentary comes out on Netflix. And now everybody's watching it. I actually know right now, I see on Twitter that Darkness Timmy over at Darkness429, he's watching it right now. And you're all thinking, how could something like this be? And you got to think. There's just something wrong in that particular police department, that all of this is going on and nobody's even batting an eye. So now we come to today. There's petitions for the federal government to take a look at it, and every time an appeal was made in Steve Avery's name, the judge, who is still the original judge that convicted him of these crimes, denies it. So now you got to think, how high does this go? How bad are we looking? Or is this town looking? So Steve Avery sits in jail today. He's thinking of another way to get that defense, to get a better defense and to get a better trial. Now, in the time that he's been in jail, new light has shed. Now, I told you this DA, Ken, is a skeevy guy. Well, it turns out, he's kind of got sexual harassment stuff against him. So you find out that he's a bad, terrible man. So a man who is being convicted of sexual harassment and sexual assault and other sort of dirty, nasty crimes that you have to be dirty and nasty to begin with, you would think that's the type of man, at least in TV show world, you would think that's the type of man that will take money any chance he can get. Listen, here's $100,000. Make sure you get this person, this person, this person. Listen, there's a juror who's really going to go for that not guilty thing. Get them off the jury right before they go into, or right when they go into deliberations, and really make sure that you don't get someone else like that. I mean, there's just, how connected is this prosecutor? How disconnected is this prosecutor? How, like, you need to sit there and think to yourself, what is going on in this little county of Wisconsin? And why does Steve Avery always get that bad rap? I mean, is it a family issue? Or is it just a man issue? Now, a lot of revelations are coming out since this documentary came out. One of Steve Avery's former lovers, fiancés, or whatever, said that he does have a drinking and domestic abuse problem. We know from the documentary that he was a fisher and a hunter, and he was he was pretty avid at killing. I mean, that was part of the investigation, was that they found all these bullet shells in his garage. Well, they didn't find a gun. I mean, they found a gun that he legally owned, but that was how he went hunting. So you're interested. Everyone's really interested to see what happens to this man that I'm sure never really got. I mean, he did get national recognition from the media, however, didn't get this sort of national recognition where people could go home and binge watch 10 episodes of this show and see what this man went through. I don't wish this upon anyone, especially if they're not guilty, or if they're innocent, I should say, like Steve Avery. Again, I'm not a police officer, I'm not a detective, I'm not a prosecutor, I'm not even a law student. I never even thought to be a law student. I'm just a guy who loves to watch TV shows, who loves to watch these criminal type shows, whether it be fiction or not. I love to watch them because it almost feels like you're figuring it out yourself. Now, will this get national recognition? And will the petitions be heard? And will Steve Avery get his day in a new court? Will the court case be heard? Who knows? Did he actually do it? Who knows? Did the cops actually do it and use him as a scapegoat? Or did they plan to do it and just put him in jail once and for all? That way he's just shut up for life? Who knows? But this documentary really opened a lot of people's eyes to a lot of things. Whether it be the corruption, whether it be the tedious sort of investigation that should go into a murder, and that not all the time on TV shows is it quick zooms into a small ant carrying a skin cell of something, or blood taking 5 hours to do. Excuse me. Or even like 15 minutes to do. While you go get a burger, the blood samples are getting done or something like that. A lot of time and effort went in, and a lot of time and effort went into the documentary. Now, I just saw an article from Variety tonight saying that there might be a second season of Making a Murderer come in. Speculation would probably say maybe there'll be an update. Maybe they'll do a quick, like, here's an update on the Steve Avery thing, here's another case. What other case would they do? Would they do Andrea Yates? She was guilty. We knew it. She was drowning all 6 of those kids before hubby got home. She gonna do, I forget who it was. The girl who changed her hair color in jail. Killed her fiance. I forget what it is. Are we going to see her court case? We don't know what we're going to see. If we're going to see. That's the thing. Are we going to see a second season of Making a Murderer? It made such an impact. but what kind of impact did it actually make? Did it actually make an impact where people sat there and said, oh, I feel bad for this guy who was convicted of murder and killing this girl and doing all these other nasty things that his nephew said that they did? We don't know. But Steve Avery, I know you watch this all the time. Because why not? Steve Avery, it was nice hearing about your story. I wish you well, whether it's in prison or out. That's all I can say. Do I think you do it? I'm an evidence guy. Judging by the evidence, I would say there's enough evidence to prove reasonable doubt in the case. That's what I would officially say, is that there is insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it. If you don't understand what that means, there is a reasonable doubt as to whether or not Steve Avery did it. At least murder one, which is the worst that you could get. Murder one is the worst charge to get in the United States. What actually happened to Teresa, I don't know. Maybe Making a Murderer Season 2 will follow more as to what happened to Teresa. That was another thing that a lot of people thought were lacking in Making a Murderer, was how does this affect the victim and her family? Well, we did get to kind of see that, but I guess they wanted to see a little more. But, I mean, she's not around, so what would you follow? That's the other part of that argument. What would you follow? She's unfortunately dead. You saw the couple clips of her, and this wasn't the time of... This was before the time where Snapchat and Twitter and Instagram... Well, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook were just coming to light. You know, go watch Social Network. You'll find out right there all the time of that. But Steve Avery, hopefully things will work out for you in the end. I hope it doesn't take another 18 years, because I'm sure those first 18 years was absolutely horrendous. And I wish you all the best in whatever you need to do to help yourself. And with that being said, we end tonight's episode of TV Talk. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. Eric the Great, thank you so much for hitting the follow button. I want to thank Toma Manson, Osmation, and Toxquin. Thank you so much for hitting that follow button as well. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. We say goodnight to American Horror Story. We'll see you back again in September. We say hello to Shameless, which there's a new episode tonight. There's probably a new episode starting in about 5 minutes. For all of you political hounds out there, go watch the Democratic debate. It's on Sundays. I don't know. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Follow me on YouTube. Subscribe to me on YouTube to get my VODs. I chop up each episode and I put up like all the TV shows by one by one each. So, like tonight, Making a Murderer will get one clip. American Horror Story and Shameless will probably get a clip and all that kind of stuff. So, be sure to check all that out. If you have any TV shows or anything like that, let me know. Tweet at me at the New Nerd N Town. My social media thing's been coming up here. Yeah, I saw that, Eric. Eric was, and for all of you listening in, Eric is saying that Punisher has not even been shown yet, and Netflix is already picking up a Punisher show. So, again, Netflix has been absolutely rocking the small screen. And we're going to be talking a lot about it, whether it be Kimmy Schmidt, whether it be House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, Daredevil, all that stuff. John Barenthal as Punisher is a win. Yes, I agree. And whoever they got for Elektra, she looked good, but looking good. Everybody thought Charlie Cox's Murdoch looked great, and I mean he was great. So there's that. I got to finish Jessica Jones. I've been in a Mad Men bind. I'm going to catch up on Supergirl this week on the 21st, which is Tuesday. Legends of Tomorrow comes out, and a new trailer for Suicide Squad. Get hyped. Absolutely get hyped. Because I can't wait for that next trailer to come out. I'm really excited. That's like the only DC movie I'm really excited to see this year. I can't wait to see Batman vs. Superman flop. Suicide Squad is the movie to go see. I'm really excited. This is a big movie, big TV year. Comic books are taking a front row seat, and some people don't like it. Other people don't really mind it, and other people's love it. And I will be here to discuss it all with you. And then, of course, we have Star Wars Rogue One coming back. Coming in December, which is a different take of a Star Wars movie. It's not a lineage movie, but it is a war movie with Star Wars costuming, skin, and talk in it. And I can't wait for it to come out. I don't know what to do with myself. I absolutely don't know what to do with. I'm so excited for it. If you haven't already, go watch last night's Saturday Night Live with. Go watch Ridiculous 6. I don't know. I can't do those parody films anymore, like Scary Movie or 50 Shades of Black. I can't really check out. I can't do it. I can't do it like 50 Shades of Black, Scary Movie. I'm done with it. And Ridiculous 6, it's Adam Sandler. Now, like, that's a new low. That's like, why, Adam Sandler? Why are you doing these crappy new movies? Was it as bad as you thought it was, Eric? Please tell me it was as bad as you thought it was. But anyway, I'm really, really excited for this year. This is going to be a great year. I hopefully will start to bring guests on. Haven't really figured out if I want to do video with them or just do audio with them. Also want to start doing like a Discord. Everybody's using Discord. So we'll use that. Maybe I'll get a chat going with that so we could talk different TV shows during the week. You just sign in to Twitch, to Discord with your Twitch. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you again for all of you who followed. I love you all. I especially love you. You all know who you are. I'll be tweeting out next time I go live. I think it'll be Wednesday. I'm not too sure. We'll see if I get to watch all the TV shows I want to watch. Again, my schedule is going to get a little crazy, as is all of our schedules are going to get crazy within this Crit Camp community that we're all working on. For those of you who want to just catch up on everything, by all means, go check it out on YouTube. Go check it out in iTunes. Just type in The New Nerd in Town and look for my logo. If you don't know what my logo looks like, it looks like it's right there on the screen. See this little guy? That's my logo. Look for that logo anywhere you need to look for that logo, and you'll know that it is my podcast or anything like that. Lucifer, as a quick note, because Eric just mentioned it, Lucifer, it looks good. But I don't know. It's one of those shows where it looks like they just threw it together. And Shannara Chronicles, that's MTV, right? If that's MTV, that's the MTV show where they're trying to... I think they're just trying to compete with everyone else. Like, everyone else is like, hey, we're doing dystopia. And MTV's like, wait, guys... we didn't know dystopia was cool. We've been doing our own thing. We've been doing these things where we get kids drunk on TV and then they die in real life and there's no point in living anymore. And why do we even call ourselves MTV? We don't even have music anymore. I'm kind of salty with MTV. That being said, I might work for them. I would work for them. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I will let you know. Go watch Shameless. The episode started about 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 minutes ago. I love all of you. You guys have a great night. It's great to be back with you. It's great to be back here, and it's great to be around. Have a great and wonderful evening. Oh, God. There's like 6 different things I have to do at once because my hotkeys are broken. Goodbye!